answer all those questions. I'm going to give only 2 to 3 minutes time. After that, if anyone is filling the form, those responses won't be recorded. Please have it in your mind. Please be on time to the session. Are you able to open the form? Anyone put it in chat? So attendance is you need permission. No, I gave permission to all. Aparna said yes, ma'am. In the chat itself, you can click that one. A new window will open and you can answer the questions. I posted by 11:33. By 11:35, before 11:35 submitted, I will start the session by 11:35. As told yesterday, have pen and paper with you. Have a notebook. Better put a separate note for data structure. Have it with you and try to take running notes. Though we share the PPT, though we'll share the recordings and all, try to make running notes. It's a good habit to follow. So likewise, any activity can be given hereafter for all the sessions. It may be given at any time. So please be live on the entire session. And if we will call the persons randomly, you have to unmute your mic and you have to answer or you have to respond. If you completed, some of you can put it in chat. Completed message, then I will start. Okay. Okay, time up. Stop it. You can submit the tomorrow's forms later. Now for this form, time is over. Now we move back to the session. So just a recap before starting the today's session. Let's revise the things we have discussed in yesterday's session. We have seen the fundamental of data structure. It's nothing but it's a way of organizing the data. How we are going to organize the data, how we are storing the data in memory, and that we have discussed. Then the need for data structure, for efficient searching, for implementing fast algorithms, for quick time. So many things we have seen. That is the need for data structure. Then with respect to classification, we have two types, primitive and non-primitive, two major categories. Under non-primitive, we have linear and non-linear data structures. Under linear data structures, the examples are array, list, stack. Sorry, not stack, array and list. Array, list, stack and queue. Those are the linear data structures. Under non-primitive, non-linear data structures, we have trees and graphs. Then we saw an important concept called ADT. Can anyone tell what is ADT? I asked in that
abstract data type.
Yes, abstract data type. Good. Now we will discuss in detail about this abstract data type. Then we move on to this linear data structure. These are the topics to be discussed in today's session. Why we need ADT. Then how we are going to represent the various data structures. Then we are going to touch the introduction of list ADT, because our first data structure under the linear type is list. Then operations that are performed on the list and how we are going to implement the list. These are the main topics that we are going to discuss today. ADT stands for abstract data type. Yesterday I told a major definition for the abstract data type. It provides only the interface, which means what? Nothing to care about the implementation, nothing to care about the programming language. Just we are using it as an interface to do all the operations. That's enough for, that is the purpose of using the ADT. This interface, it does not give any details about the implementation or anything else. Just it provides only the interface for which data structure we are going to use, because based on the environment or based on the problem or based on the question that is given, you may be supposed to use any data structure. For some concepts, we will use stack data structure. For some concepts, we may use a tree data structure, like that. So, according to the environment, just we are going to use the particular data structure. So, that is the abstract data type. 2 points I have mentioned as bold letter. It's a mathematical model. Yes? Any doubts from anybody? Anantaraman, mute your mic and video. Okay. So these are the two extra things we are going to see now with respect to ADT. ADT is nothing but it's a mathematical model along with the operations that are going to be performed. So we can tell it in this term also. It's just a mathematical model. Using that mathematical model, we are going to do some operations on that particular model. So it's a collection of data and associated operations. In this way also we can tell. Why we are using the data and its operation means to manipulate the particular data. Yesterday itself I have told, we have seen so many examples for data. A1, 65, 93, so many variables or constants we are using. It's the data only. With the data, what operation I am going to do? Because only using those operations only we can manipulate the data. We can use the particular data. Finding the square root of a number, finding the GP of the students based on the marks. So marks are the different data. And we are going to do some operations on those data. So in that way also we can call a particular concept as the ADT. Clear? So as in a nutshell, I will again explain. ADT is an interface. It acts as it provides only the interface. It does not tell about the implementation. With that ADT, we are going to do different operations. In simple words, we can call it's a collection of data and associated operations and its related operations to manipulate the data. Yes, examples for abstract data type are list, stack, queue. What are all the data structures that we are going to discuss now all comes under ADT only. Yesterday I told an example. Eating food. It's just an ADT. I didn't mention anything. How the food is prepared, where it is prepared, and or what food is taken by you, like that. It's not at all that. Just I have mentioned. It acts as an interface. So that is the abstract data type. Hope you are clear with this concept, because if you have any doubts, feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. This is a very fundamental thing, because hereafter we are going to say it as list ADT, stack ADT, queue ADT, like that. Don't remember only the expansion of that ADT. Got it? Now, why we need abstract data type? For each and every concept, we have to think the question why. Apart from asking what is the particular concept, why we need that abstract data type? Mainly it is used for modularity. Is it clear? Is the PPT clear, or do you want me to put the slideshow? Any one of you respond, students? Or ma'am, you can also tell.
I'm clear only, ma'am. You can continue.
Okay, ma'am. So need for modularity. First, look at that second point. I have mentioned one term called as modularity. For need for ADT, in that I have mentioned a term called modularity. That is one of the important feature of using the abstract data type. Modules. Modularity means related to module. Module means what? Different segments, different portions. Yes, normally modular kitchen. You may be aware of this term, modular kitchen. So we are having different portions. Some portion to place the plates, some specific portion to place the cup and saucers, like that for spoons. So we are going to divide the entire kitchen into different compartments for allotting each function separately, for allotting each component separately. Like that, in our programming also, we are using the concept modularity. That means we are dividing the entire program into different functions, small functions. Instead of using an entire lengthy program, we can divide the program into small functions. For example, I want to do all the operations, all the basic arithmetic operations that a simple calculator can do. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo division. Assume all these 5 arithmetic operation. Instead of writing it inside the main itself, we can divide the entire program into different modules. For example, I can write a small piece of code for adding 2 numbers. In the same program, I am telling. I can write a small piece of code for subtracting 2 numbers. Similarly, for multiplying and for dividing the numbers, for modulo division, etc. In the main function, I am going to call that particular function. Hope you studied all these things in C programming and Python also. Just time revising. If you have doubts, you can ask. So that dividing the program, it will have some quick access. The compilation time will be reduced. Okay. So for that, we are using the abstract data type. It achieves the modularity function. And also it is easy to debug and maintain if you have different modules, different functions. If you are using that modularity concept, it's easy to debug, easy to find the errors, and also easy to maintain. Sometimes, if necessary, we can modify the code also at some part. Suppose I want to change only the subtraction function. I can edit that particular code and I can rerun that particular function. So it is easy to modify. So these are the features or the advantages of modularity. To achieve this modularity, we are using this abstract data type. Got it? The second one is reuse. I can reuse the code. There is no need to type the particular code again and again. So that is called as reuse. And the third one is easy to change the implementation. That means there is no difficult part to change the implementation at some point. There is full transparency in the data structure. So there is transparency to the entire program. So it is obviously easy for the programmers or the coders to change the implementation. For these reasons only, we are mainly using this abstract data type. So remember these 3 points: modularity, reuse, and transparency. Better you can remember these words itself. Now come to this first point in the slide. ADT support abstraction, encapsulation, and information hiding. Are you people aware of this OOPS concepts? Just say yes or no. If no, I will say in few lines. Did you cross it in the first year, OOPS concepts? Can put it in chat also, yes. Yes, ma'am. Only one yes, I have one no. No, ma'am. Okay. I'll explain. So there are 7 major concepts in object-oriented programming. C is a procedure-oriented programming. C++, Java, Python and all are object-oriented programming. Yes? That object-oriented programming, we have 7 important concepts. First one is objects, because based on object only we are going to do all functions. Then classes, then data, encapsulation and abstraction. Third one. Fourth one, polymorphism. Fifth one, inheritance. Just hear it, that's enough now. Sixth one, message passing, and the last one is dynamic binding. All these are the fundamental concepts with respect to object-oriented programming. Object means any raw entity. Any entity can be called as an object. I am an object. You are an object. Yes, we are all assembling in one class. Your class name is second year CSE. So that is your class. The class contains some 160 objects. So you students, we 3 faculties, some other faculties. So everybody form a class. So we are separately called as objects. The collection of object is called as class. Now the important one is encapsulation. Encapsulation means we are going to protect the data and function in a single unit called class. That feature is called as encapsulation. I'm going to provide only the interface, well-defined interface, that is known as encapsulation. Capsule. There is some difference between tablet and capsule. A tablet is open, but a capsule we are having what, some thick covering. Yes, same thing. In a class, we are the objects. So we have some data. Using those data, we are going to perform some functions. All those things are secured. That is called as encapsulation. That means what? Suppose in a simple words I can tell. Using your roll number, name and marks, I am going to compute what operation I can calculate the total, average, like that. For finding this total and average, there is no need of your date of birth. There is no need to get your phone number, mail ID, etc. Okay, but those details are needed for some other purpose. Yes. So here that thing that for computing your total and average, I need roll number because that is to identify who is who. So roll number, name and your marks. Based on that, I can put the total and average. But here, your date of birth or phone number or anything else does not play the major role. So that is called as hiding, information hiding or abstraction. There is one term called abstraction, data abstraction, otherwise called as information hiding. But here they have given specifically. I'm going to structure the problem into well-defined entities by defining the data and operations. That is called as abstraction. As told, abstract data type, it is related to that one. I'm going to define. In the previous slide also I have mentioned. It's a collection of data and related operations that are done on the data. That is your abstraction. Sometimes for for doing some operations on the data, I may not need unnecessary data. For those things, I can hide those data. That is called as information hiding. Encapsulation means what? Protecting the data and functions in a single unit called class. Yes, these are the fundamental things with respect to object-oriented programming. Why I have mentioned these things here means all ADTs, all abstract data types support these important features: abstraction, encapsulation, and information hiding. So for this, for modularity, reuse and transparency, and for these concepts only, we are using the abstract data type. Got it? Now we move to the next one. These are all some of the representations just I want to mention. So if you are aware of it, you can listen now also. The first representation is your array. There are so many things that we can discuss in detail. Just I want to, because so far we have seen only what is array, what is linked list, tree, queue and all. So this is an array. The first portion is the representation of an array. You are very well familiar with array in Python and C also. You have some index starting from 0 to n minus 1. Suppose you have some n number of elements means your array index starts from 0. It has some address. In that address, your value will be stored. Then your second element will be placed in next position, next. That is called as contiguous memory allocation. So array is a collection of homogeneous elements in contiguous memory location. Then we saw one data structure called list. List is also a collection of elements. Here I am going to represent using a term called linked list. Linked list means I am going to link all the elements. I will explain it in detail in whiteboard later. Then there is one structure called tree. Tree data structure. It's a collection of nodes. Then queue. Standing in a queue. The elements will be inserted in one place. The elements will be deleted from other place. For that only the two arrow marks are given. We will surely deal it in detail in the forthcoming classes. Then another data type called what? Data structure called stack. Stack means I am going to add the elements one by one at one place only. Similarly, I am going to remove from one end only. That is called as top. That point is called as top. Just have a look at it. We will move on to the first data structure, list. A list is a ordered sequence. List of elements, list of students, list of colleges, list of schools. So many things we crossed in our day-to-day life. So a list is nothing but it's a sequence of data items. I have mentioned specifically it's an ordered sequence of data items. As it is mentioned as sequence of data items, it comes under which data type? It's the linear data structure. Because the elements are arranged linearly or in sequential order. That is called as list. It is a very flexible data structure because we can add elements or we can delete elements based on the requirements of the user. Yes, it's a very flexible data structure because it can go. It means the list can grow. I mean, we can add elements in the list and shrink. Shrink means we can reduce the size of the list on demand if needed. The elements can be inserted, deleted, or accessed. Access means I want to search a particular element, if it is present or not. I can access that, I can choose that particular element from any position. Yes, the first element in a list is called as head, the last element is called as tail. That is the list. There is some variation in the linked list, we will discuss at the end of the session. Not variation, some extra things we have to cover in the linked list. Okay. Using the list, we are going to do different operations. Insertion, deletion. I can display the entire list. In deletion, there are two things. I can delete from the beginning of the list, or I can delete a particular element using the key or using the position. So that is called as the, these two things we can do on deletion. Then the third one is the display. Displaying the total number of elements in the list. And then searching a particular element. If it is present, I can return the particular value. If it is not there, I can return false. So based on the searching function, we are using some variation. Find function, find kth element. Kth element means find the sixth element, find the fourth element, like that. Or I can simply use find function. Then I didn't mention in the slide, there are two things. I can use one function called previous. What's the element previous to the particular element? I can retrieve. What's the element next to the particular element? I can retrieve. So these are all the basic operations that can be performed on a list. This list can be implemented in two ways. Not only list, the list, stack, queue, all the linear data structures, all those linear data structures can be implemented in two methods, either using array or using linked list. Yes, there are two ways of implementing the list. There are two ways of implementing stack. Similarly, we can use two ways to implement queue also. So the first implementation method is array based and the second one is the linked list based implementation. What is array? Array is a collection of homogeneous elements. So I am going to start from the index 0. If my array name is A, so A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, etc. So like that I am going to place the elements continuously in the contiguous memory. So only we are applying this to linear data structure. Can anyone tell what are the types of array? I'll go to that whiteboard. I'll explain clear. Are you able to see?
Single-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array.
Yes, ma'am. Sujita,
Single-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array.
Multi-dimensional array, okay. Other than that, any other answers? So far, we have not only.
Hybrid.
Yes, Aparna.
Hierarchical, hybrid.
What you told first?
Hierarchical, ma'am.
Hierarchical, hybrid. No, those are all under inheritance. Nagarajan wants to say something. Ma, apart from this one-dimensional, two-dimensional, multi-dimensional array answers, I need some other answer.
Dynamic array.
Yes, very good. So dynamic array means automatically what should be the first one?
Static.
Venkat Sriram.
Static
Yes.
array, ma'am.
Static array and dynamic
Dynamic
array.
array.
But so far we have used only static array. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So far if array means it is only static because our size is fixed. Yes. Hereafter, if you are asked types of array means that is static and dynamic. This one dimensional, two dimensional, all are based on the structure, based on the number of elements that we are using. Got it? Are you able to see this whiteboard? Let's explain with this whiteboard. Anyone respond?
Visible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just for easy representation, because we can't teach this data structure only using PPTs. It is not at all possible. It won't reach your mind. So only I want to try it. Assume it as your blackboard. Let's do some important things. So I have declared an array int a of 10. Why I have mentioned means here we are going to see what is array, what is linked list. For that only I am going to use this one. Int a of 10. What it means? A is a array name. It has some 10 elements. All those 10 elements are of data type integer. Yes. Now tell whether it is a static array or dynamic array. It's a static array. So let's take the array size as 4 itself. That's enough because it will take more time. So I have mentioned array size as 4. Assume these 4 boxes as each element. I will place here a of 0. Yes, your next element is a of 1. It's not the element, it's the address. A of 2, a of 3. Yes. Assume element 10, 20, 30 and 40 are there. It will take time to write all those things. Assume these 4 elements are there in the list. Or I can make it as a single box. It will be more clear for you. Now it will be more clear. So a of 0, a of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my array size is now 7. Forget this one, we can use it later. So I am using element 10 here. 20, 65, 4, 18, 23, 2. Now tell me whether it is a sequential arrangement of elements or not. Jasmine ma'am or Geeta Rani ma'am, you can randomly pick any person name and ask them to unmute and answer. Because as I'm using the board, I can't parallelly see the names. Can anyone tell whether it is a sequential or linear arrangement of elements or not? Yes or no? Are the elements sequentially arranged?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
the address of the
Yes.
elements are in order, ma'am.
Yes?
The address of the elements are in order, in a particular sequential order.
Yeah, yes, that only I'm asking. Here the elements are arranged in sequential order because all are present in contiguous memory. Don't think that the elements are not in the ascending or descending order. Don't confuse that arrangement and this sequential. Here the elements are, as somebody, as Aravind, I think so, as he told, the elements are arranged continuously in the memory. That is your linear data structure. This is the simple representation for array. Okay. So here this is a of 0. It's my first location, first memory address. Then your second element should be present in the second location, third element in the third location. Like that, I have filled all the 7 elements. This is your static array. Yes. Suppose I want to insert 2 more elements. 58, 79. I want to insert 2 more elements in this array structure, in this existing array. Is it possible? Presently, it's not possible because my array size is 7. I have filled I have filled all the 7 elements in this static array. Now, we are going to introduce one concept called dynamic array. Are you aware of it? There is only one term you are going to use here. You are going to convert this static array into dynamic array in a single step. I'll give 1 minute time. Anyone can answer. A static array can be converted into dynamic array by what?
Without giving the value inside the square brackets.
Without?
Giving the value inside the square bracket.
That is, we are not fixing the size. At the runtime, we are going to fix it. Okay, good. At that time, we can include as many elements. Okay. Now, at this situation, here I am asking. Okay. I hope you may not be aware of it. Here, why we are using another term called dynamic array means if my array is full, if my array size is full in the static array, we are using the dynamic array in such a way that you are going to double the size of the static array. By doubling the size of the static array, what will happen? I can get 7 more extra spaces. Yes. So here you are going to add 7 more extra spaces. A of 8, A of 7, A of 8, A of 9, like that. In that, in A of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6 here. In A of 7, you will fill that 58. In A of 8, you will fill that 79, etc. You can go. Yes. But there will be some drawbacks if I am going to use. So, in some situation, as Venkat Sriram told, if I am not mentioning the size, if I know the size only at the runtime, I can directly use that particular thing. But in this case, if my array size is fixed, I want to increase means I have to double the capacity of the static array. Just remember these terms. It will be asked in training, interviews and all. Static and dynamic array. Got it? So, using this array implementation, using this array concept, I can do all the operations of list or stack or queue. Assume these are the list of elements 10, 20, 65, 4, 18, 23 and 32 are the list of elements. What are the operations that we can do on the list? I can insert the element in a list. I can delete the element. Suppose I want to delete the element. As told, the first element in the list is called as what? Head. Last element in the list is called as tail. Initially, generally, in general, I am talking so far only about the list. Hereafter only I am going to tell about the linked list concept. So, in the list I am having the first element as 10. I want to do deletion means the first element will be deleted. If I want to delete an element at position 4, 4 means 4th position, A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3. 4th position, the element is also 4. So, I have to mention the particular position value. Then, your searching will be done at that particular position and you can delete that particular element. So, likewise, we can do different operations on list using array. Now, we move on to another implementation called what? Linked list concept. What is linked list? List only, just you are going to add some feature in that list. Linked list means all the elements in the list are linked. Very best example, very practical example for linked list. Anyone? A train. Imagine a train. A train is an example for a linked list. It has different compartments. All the compartments are linked, connected through that big chain. Okay, same thing. Assume that it's itself as a train structure. So you have different compartments. All the compartments will be linked in a train. I want to remove the third compartment. What I have to do? That chain connecting that second and third compartment, it will be removed, and that chain to be connected to whom? To the fourth compartment. Yes, same thing only you are going to do in our programming side also. So this is your list, linked list data structure. One more thing here I want to tell. In a linked list, you are having two portions. If you studied in your first year, first sem or second sem, feel free to tell though it is right or wrong. But don't think that this node size will be getting on decrease. Just I have drawn like that. All are equally sized only. So here each element is called as node here. Node. That particular box. Each box is called as node. Each node contains two portions. I partitioned each node into two parts. Y means the first part is called as element or data. And better we can take it as data. Data or element or item. Anything. We can mention it in all these common words. The data. What's this term? What this part is referring means it is connected to the second part. Okay. So assume these nodes are having some address. So this address, the second element address will be present in the first element. Okay. So this is your next pointer. Next means the address of the next node. So this is node 1. This is node 2. Node 3. You can write it in your notebook also, and only you can easily able to follow. So you are having 4 different nodes. This is a simple representation of a linked list. In a linked list, each node will have 2 parts, a data part and the address part. You can call it as link or next. This data can also be called as element or item or data. All are same. Similarly, the next or address, anything. We can mention it as any words. So this next means it points to the next element. The second element address will be present in the next. Similarly, what this part will represent? The third element address. What this part represent? Fourth element address. Now, what will be this part? What the address part of the fourth node contains. There is no more element. In our list, you are having only 4 elements, so it points to null. It denotes null value. We can mention it like this, or we can draw like this. So we have to make it downwards. So it means it represents null. If address of any node points to null means what it denotes, it is the last element in your list. Remember, the address of the last element points always to null. Now I need some interesting answer. Where the address of the first node will be present? Where the address of first node will be present?
Pointer variable, yeah, ma'am.
No, in this diagram I am asking. Yes, what you are telling? Pointer variable. Yes, you are nearing. Where it will be stored? In a pointer variable, where? I'm seeing many names. I want to ask somebody else. Yes, Brinda, are you there? Any idea? Brinda,
Yes, ma'am.
where the address of the first node will be there? Because the address of second node present in the first node, address of third node present in second, fourth present in third in this field. Where the address of first node will be there. Any guess?
No, ma'am, I don't know.
Okay, as Venkat Sriram told, here we are using some pointer or another portion called head. We are mentioning for our purpose. There is one node called head.
Reference node, ma'am.
Holds head as a pointer. It's a pointer. It holds the address of the first node. You can call it in any terms. Somebody asked some doubt. Anything?
It will be stored in a reference node, ma'am.
Reference pointer. It's stored somewhere. Because from that point only we have to access. Because this node 1 address will be stored here. For example, the node 1 address is 5000. It will be stored there. Node 2 address is 6000. It will be present here. 6000. Because that is the address of the node 2. I will explain in tomorrow's session in detail with some other example. So then the node 3 address is 7000 means where it will be stored here. Node 4 address is 8000. Only the address will be stored in the pointer field. So a linked list contains two parts, a data part and the address part. Data part means the element, the actual element of this node. It can be either ABC or it can be 101, anything, any element I can have. Okay, that is your data part. The next field is your address field. So this node 1 address is what 5000. It is stored in a separate pointer called header or head pointer, like that. Always the address of the last node points to null because it means that there are no more elements. Got it? Okay. With this, I will stop. Just we have a quick recap. What is ADT we have seen, why we need ADT. Then what is list ADT? What are the operations that can be done on the list and how we are going to implement the list. In tomorrow's class, you will see the array-based implementation of list in detail. That means how the operations can be done on the list. That we will see in detail later. If any doubts, feel free to ask. Unmute your mic and you can ask. Any doubt? You can put it in chat also. Respond something in the group or in the chat or anything. If we want some concepts to be more clear, we can ask. No doubt. Okay. Try to revise the concepts, then only we can follow it easily in the next classes. Yeah, Shreya, I will send this PPT. I will share it in the Google Classroom. One more, Jan. Yes. Jasmine, ma'am, you can stop the recording.